Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today, I got the good fortune to interview John Bradford from Park Avenue Properties and PetScreening. PetScreening has been nationally recognized 4 years in a row as one of the fastest growing privately owned companies in the United States. John's also been elected 2 terms as a town commissioner, 4 terms to the North Carolina House of Representatives. He was a senior chairman of the House Finance Committee and a whole bunch of other amazing things. John, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Seth, thanks for having me on your podcast here. Good to be with you today.
Good to have you. So let's go back in time a little bit. You've built 2 companies from the ground up. How did you get started?
I was a engineer turned sales guy at IBM and started taking my bonus money and buying real estate as I had young children at the time. They're now in college, and I was buying houses as their 529B program. It was the John Bradford program, and then stumbled into managing rental properties for myself and then doing it for others. And that journey led me down a path of being very pet friendly and saw an opportunity to build a software platform to manage pet policy management and started PetScreening. So it's, just sort of it was born out of necessity, honestly.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. Before founding PetScreening, obviously you were deeply involved in property management.
Yes.
What problems kept coming up that made you think there's got to be a better, different way?
Well, I thought we were a pretty sophisticated firm. I mean, I was an IBMer, and so I was selling technology, so I was bringing as much tech as possible into my own management company. And one thing I saw very quickly is I think at the time I had 30 employees, and 11 of them were property managers, right? We had a bunch of assistants, but those 11 property managers all had professional designations. And what I learned was they each had their own portfolio. It was called portfolio management. And I learned that every one of them was doing pet policy management a little bit differently. One person may get a photo, one person maybe get 2 photos. Someone may have intended to get a picture and they never did. And those inconsistencies for a shop that I thought was pretty technologically savvy and leading really shined a light on the opportunity for us to standardize more consistently how we handled pets. Because I'm a pet owner. I don't know if you have a pet or not, Seth, but a lot of people in America have pets. In fact, 70% of us do, and it's not one pet, it's 1.6 pets, so they're everywhere. And it's a part of American Fabricana, and people want to bring them to where they live, and there just needs to be a better way to manage it. And so that's how I saw the opportunity, because my firm wasn't doing a great job doing it, and so I built a tech platform to do it better.
Yes, we are pet owners. For listeners or viewers who may not know the property management industry, why are pets such complicated issues?
Well, I mean, anything that's living brings risk, right? I mean, families are protected under the law, right? You can't say no to a family with kids, right? I mean, if it's in a 55 and up community, that's different. But most certainly, pets are not necessarily a protected class anywhere, so people can deny pets if they want. But so many people have pets that they're going to bring them, and they're either going to bring them because you know about it, or they're not going to tell you about it, and they're going to sneak them in. And so what we try to do at PetScreening is I trademark this thing called a Fido score. So we give a Fido score on every pet and pet owner so that the property manager better understands their risk. And the Fido score is not punitive, Seth. I mean, a puppy is going to have a lower Fido score, not because, look, it can be a golden retriever puppy, one of America's dogs, but it's going to be nibbling on baseboards. It's going to be, potting on your floors. We're just saying that dog has a little more risk, and therefore the property manager needs to know about the risk. And maybe they charge a little more in pet fees until that dog becomes an adult dog. And that's really, the Fido score is dynamic, so it improves over time, or it can not improve over time if that dog got caught not being on a leash, for example. That could, make the Fido score a little lower, for example.
So, how do you balance between protecting property owners,
Yes.
supporting the property managers, and the residents?
Yeah, so I think of us as like Switzerland, right? I mean, look, I love pets myself. And when I managed my own company, we were very, very pet friendly. But I'm also a big property rights advocate. When I served in the North Carolina legislature, I carried a majority of our tenant landlord law. So I do believe in property rights, and I do think property owners should be able to make the decisions that are best for them. And so we view pet screening as a platform that can help a property manager manage to their policies. Some people do not allow, I hate to pick on German Shepherds, but they say we don't allow German Shepherds. It's a type of a guard dog. A lot of property managers are fine with German Shepherds. While I personally think German Shepherds are great dogs, I can't force someone to take a German Shepherd. So our tool can manage if they allow German Shepherds or not. I don't necessarily tell them what to do, but I have a tool that enables them to run their business as they see fit.
How has pet screening changed the way your property managers approach pets in housing?
Well, look, we love to say that our platform has really made the industry more pet inclusive, meaning we have lots of our clients that have had these archaic breed restrictions on the books for years, and there's really no bona fide proof that certain types of dogs are more dangerous necessarily. Don't get me wrong, certain types of dogs, are stronger than others, and if it bites, it's going to hurt, but there's no concrete evidence that by not allowing these types of dogs that you're going to have a better experience. In fact, you would almost have to get a DNA test to really know if a dog is a pure dog or not. So how do you really know? No one's doing, I mean, people do DNA tests, but no property manager is requiring a DNA test. So we have a lot of clients that have totally dropped their breed restrictions and they look at the situation more holistically, like a scorecard. And they're focused not only on the pet, Seth, but the pet owner. Let's face it, the pet owner is the problem. If a pet owner doesn't raise their dog the right way and doesn't keep their dog on a leash and doesn't train them or keep them from barking all the time, it's not the dog's fault. I love to say this, and you'll appreciate what I'm going to say. If you put me in a bedroom all day and I'm a dog and lock the door, and never come to let me out, I will pee on your floor too. Because guess what? I cannot let myself out. So it's all about the pet owner. And our platform's looking at the pet owner and the pet parent as much as we are the pet. And we bring those things together through the Fido score.
You are, one of the fastest growing privately held companies in the US 4 years in a row. How have you gotten the word out?
Honestly, because I was in the industry, I was very involved. I'm kind of an all-in guy. When I do something, I try to go deep, right? what's the old saying? I'd rather be an inch wide, a mile deep than a mile wide and an inch deep. And so in the industry, at least as a single family residential side of the house, I was very involved in the industry. So a lot of my colleagues knew my Park Avenue Properties business. They knew I was a legislator. When they heard I started pet screening, they saw they had the same problems. And then I think word of mouth, our best salespeople are honestly customers who use us. I mean, we're trusted by over 8 million rentals across the country. We're in the U.S. military. We're in about 110 bases, I think. It's a growing number. So I think that's a pretty neat thing. Manufactured housing, student housing, affordable, senior, multifamily, single. If you have a roof over your head, chances are you're dealing with pets and assistance animals. And we just make sure everyone understands the rules and they follow them. And if they don't follow them, they're on the record saying they would. And that helps create a liability barrier for our clients.
That is really fascinating. So, are your clients the property owners, or the property managers, or the end user consumer who has the pet?
Yeah, we think we treat ourselves like a double-sided marketplace. There's no doubt that the property manager or the asset owner is the one that's setting the policies because, they hold the goal to make the rules. But we understand that the pet owners are the ones that are going to be paying the rent, being the pet fees. So we view ourselves as the enabler just to make sure that the future resident understands what those policies are related to pets and that they are going to agree to follow them. And it's a pretty simple, two-way relationship, right? I mean, it's not something uncommon that we're asking folks to do. So I feel like they're both our customers, but most certainly property managers and asset owners use our service, and then that requires the applicant to go through our platform.
You've disrupted the marketplace and added value in a way that hasn't been done before. What's your biggest challenge now?
Well, I mean, look, we created a category. I mean, I've told my kids, now they're all in college. I'm like, in the next 5 to 10 years, you will not be able to live in a rental property in America and not have gone through a pet screening solution. And of course, we hope it's ours. And we were the original, the first. And we've had some competitors spin up, which is just it happens, right? Competition is beautiful. It keeps everybody honest, and it just makes us work harder. But creating a category is hard, right? To be a trailblazer, do something that's unheard of. It's pretty rewarding. It's a lot of work. We have a little over 200 W-2 employees at Pet Screening, and we're growing. And I mean, we work hard and I treat us like we're in last place every day, and that's all I know to do.
What did your public service teach you that made you a better CEO?
Well, there's two sides to every story. I just like I'm not, I when I think about property rights, I'm very much a property rights guy, but I also believe tenants have rights too, right? If their air conditioner goes out and it's 100 degrees, then the property manager needs to work really, really hard to get that air conditioning back working, or if it's in the winter and the heat. And so it's a I don't know. Kindness doesn't cost anything extra. I just feel like in the legislature, we're a two-party system. You have to pick a horse. You're in that party, but you have to be willing to work with anybody and everybody. And even though I might not always agree, I've just learned to say, hey, I disagree with you. So let's go find things we can agree on. And we know we disagree on some things, but let's not let the disagreements define us. And, I've tried to run my business that way.
I mean, 8 million rentals. What trends do you see affecting the future of rental housing?
Well, I mean, some trends we're seeing are some regulatory trends. I mean, there's some new changes coming out of HUD. Anytime political wins happen, so new administrations bring new agency leaders. So we're seeing some regulatory changes out of the federal government as it relates to assistance animals. But then we're also seeing states start to pass their own laws to maybe fill in the gaps if the federal law and the federal guidance takes like a U-turn or a different direction. So you're going to have sort of this regulatory ideology changes, and it's always been there. I wouldn't say it's new, but most certainly with social media, it seems to travel faster and quicker. And so those are just going to be continued challenges over the years ahead, I think.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I love creating. I mean, we're innovators. We truly think of ourselves as an innovative company. We started a category, obviously, pet screening. People refer to this as a pet screening solution, and so our brand name is descriptive in nature. But we have this as a trademark because we created the category, and the USPTO agreed with us, which is why we got it trademarked and was able to pull that off. We also started Amber Alert for pets. It's called Fido Alert. It has never been done before, so we just have a history of, I think, finding things that haven't been done and do it well. And just so happens to be around pets. And so it's fun to run a business that's pet centric. And look, every day I go to the office we're in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and we try to hire as many people out of the greater Charlotte market. We're in North Carolina, even though we're nationwide. And they get to bring our employees, we call it our pack, they bring their dogs to the office. So being able to see all these dogs in our office, I think we have two cats now, Seth. So it's just fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun to interact with not only my employees, but their pets that they bring into their space every day when they're in the office.
That is awesome. As you mentioned, married with kids and I believe a Boykin Spaniel named
Yes, I got a
Berkeley.
Boykin. Yes. Yes.
How has family life shaped the way you define success?
I lead by example, and we have a very honest household, Seth. I don't cut my kids any slack. I think if I am cutting them slack, then I'm not doing a good job as a parent. I tell this funny story at my last company, Park Avenue Properties, which I've since divested it. But my kids, when they're in high school, they all worked at the company as like an intern. And one of my employees sent a picture of my daughter who had fallen asleep at her chair. And I remember telling my employees, if she falls asleep again, call me and then I'm going to fire her. And so called my daughter. I said, if you fall asleep again, you're going to be fired. And I'm sorry to use such harsh words, but I have to set an example and I can't let my kids catch a break. You have to come to work alert. And if you're going to stay up to 2 in the morning on social media, well, you better drink an energy drink or something. I don't know what it is, but you better be alert, be alert, because my reputation's everything. And so is yours. And falling asleep's not going to get it done. My daughter never fell asleep again. And she still remembers that to this day. And now she wants to go to law school. So I think just raising a family and honest traditions and principles of just, like I said, being kind to everybody, but working hard. I've raised my family to be more of a hand up, not a handout. And that's important to me.
Amen to that. For our folks who are watching or listening who want to learn more, where is the best place for them to go?
Well, I mean, you can try, look, personally, you can go find me on LinkedIn. I'm John Ray, RAY, or John R. Bradford, PetScreening.com. Our name is our brand, PetScreening.com. If you want to sign up for Fido Alert, which if it's for cats too, it's FidoAlert.com. It's a free service because my company uses our profits to do good, Seth. We've spent millions of dollars on Fido Alert. It uses tech. We've sent 12 million text messages and we've reunited over 70,000 lost dogs and cats. So, I mean, when I say free, it is not free because I pay for it, but it is free to people who have pets, and they can go to FidoAlert.com and enroll their dog or cat. And that's part of our social mission to do good. So we're really a good corporate citizen, and we want to do good with our profits. And I think we put our money where our mouth is.
That is absolutely incredible. Well, we know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us today. This has been Seth Greene with John Bradford of PetScreening. John, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, Seth, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.